Which equipment shouldn't you buy? Instead of suggesting fancy and pricey stuff, I want to share with you the equipment I use, or more importantly, don't use, so next year you can save money and make smarter choices. You are probably asking yourself, who's this guy with a funny accent? Well, good, because I believe I have a bit of a unique perspective when it comes to this video in particular. 15 years ago, I started making videos for a little bit of fun. And a couple of years later, people actually started to pay me for them. Over the last decade, I have been lucky enough to make a living this way, and hopefully along that journey, have got a little bit better at it. That takes me to the start of this year, where for a few different reasons that I'll save for a different video, I started to create YouTube content. I understand that most people who start a YouTube channel do not have access to all the filmmaking equipment that I personally did. And that brings me to why I created this video you're watching right now. I want to tell you which piece of equipment, even though I own them and have access to them all the time, I simply just don't use to make my YouTube content. So, less about me, hit the subscribe button, and let's get into some equipment. Let's start with the classic, most overlooked thing when it comes to creating video, and that is audio. My main microphone, as you can see right here, is the Shure MV7. Now, I'm sure, pun intended, that you've seen one of these microphones before. It's the mic from all the famous podcasts like Joe Rogan, etc. But what this one has in particular is built-in preamps. Now what this allows it to do, in normal terms, is have a USB output. Now as you can see here, I'm running this one from XLR, but if I did want to plug this one into my laptop or my PC, it would be absolutely fine to record voiceovers, etc. This mic is defo on my buy list. If you are someone who does not mind their microphone showing in shot on these talking head things, it's pretty much the best audio quality you can get. My next microphone is a shotgun mic. This is Deity's original microphone, even still has the Aperture branding on it, before those two decided to kind of brand differently. What I will say about a shotgun microphone and creating YouTube videos is you don't need both, especially to start off in the beginning. I would just pick one or the other. If you don't mind your mic being in shot like this, then go for this. If you would like it to be out of shot and maybe just somewhere kind of like out of the frame up here, then you're going to want a shotgun mic. So I would just pick one and run with it. What if you want to move around and capture audio? Well, that's where a lavalier or a lav mic comes into play. I've tried a lot of different brands, manufacturers and types of these over the years, and recently I've changed into these kind of ones that come in a case and self-charge themselves. They basically come in two different parts, as you may know. One section is a microphone, and the next section is a recorder. This pack records. If you want to get the very best lav mics you can get, then I don't actually own them, as I don't use these type of mics too much. Those are the Rode Wireless Pro mics. I will put a shot on screen of them now. But if you want something really cheap, what you can just kind of set it and forget it, but it's going to capture amazing quality, I would pick up myself a Tascam. These things record at two different levels, not one as a safety track and one not to distort. And they have recently brought out a newer, more modern version of this. And honestly, one of these things has never ever let me down. They sound really good, they last really long on a singular battery, they're really simple to use, and I can't really fault them. The final mic is, if you're someone who captures kind of fast-paced content, then what you will need is an on-camera microphone. This is a Deity V-Mic D4. I absolutely love this thing and it never lets me down. Again, it lasts forever on battery life and it's got amazing quality. The coolest feature of this is it turns itself off when you turn your camera off. If you've ever used one of these mics, what does not have that feature, the amount of times you're going to turn your camera off and leave this on, and then when you come back to record on the next shoot, the battery's dead. That happens all the time. Personally, if I was someone who did a lot of vlogging, I would just get myself a lav mic that you clip on that syncs to the camera. I would not use one of these anymore. But this is great if you need to capture some kind of fast-paced content. This is the mic I would choose. Now this is something that a lot of people do not consider when capturing audio. No matter how good your microphone is, from a lav mic to a shotgun mic to one of these podcast style mics, you will need good preamps. As you can see, as it lights up, I use this preamp right here. This is from a company called Sound Devices, and they make mixers and preamps for really, really high end, all the way up into like Hollywood levels of productions. But this sort of thing is their very, very entry level, bottom of the line mixer and preamps. This is called the Mix Pre 3, and it is not cheap for what it is. But what it does have is really, really good, nice, warm sounding preamps. While Sound Devices is great, but it's expensive. So if you're wanting something a bit more entry level, there are some great options. I like the stuff from Zoom. I have an old Zoom recorder. Let me grab that. This is a Zoom H4n Pro. It's really old now, and they do much more modern versions. But if you look into Zoom and get one of their cheaper devices just to get yourself some nice preamps, this will do the world of good for you getting better audio quality. Right, let's talk about lighting. To start off, you're gonna need a key light, which is just the main light that's going to light you, the subject. For this, I use an Amaron F22. That is a company made by Aperture, as we mentioned earlier on. I absolutely love this thing. It is definitely on my buy list, but it's also definitely not a cheap light. So for those people just starting out, there is a much cheaper option than this. If you go on Amazon, I will link some in the description that I personally like. There's like the stuff from Godox and all these kind of really affordable brands. All you would need to do is pick up the cheap light, as even the cheap ones are getting good colour accuracy nowadays, and punch that through some kind of diffusion, and you will be amazed at the kind of results you can get from this. You're going to want to add some kind of lights to your background. As you can see, I've got the F22 lighting my face here, and then I place all sorts of practicals in the background of my shot here. I've got these lamps just coming down this side. Over here, we've got a little Aperture tube light. This is also a lamp from IKEA. And up here we have the neon sign. It's all about just adding little practicals. Just rummage around your house or your office, studio, wherever you're filming. Pick up as many lamps and practicals and ram them all in the background of your shot. This purpley blue light you can see hitting the wall here, that is just two really cheap lights that I'll link in the description. And when it comes to what not to buy, is I actually own an Aperture Nova. Now this thing I use all the time when filmmaking, but when I'm shooting these talking head YouTube content, it just doesn't make sense for me to set that up. It's heavy, it's really bright, even dimmed down. But for YouTube content, you don't need these big expensive lights. You can take this even further for me. If you can't even afford to get a light and you're just buying your camera and lens, find the nearest window in your room, buy a shower curtain from your local store, place the camera just in front of the window so the window is your key light, place a load of lamps in the background, and honestly, you'll be impressed how good the shot will actually look without a single filmmaking light. As you can see here, I have access to quite a few different styles of camera and lenses. But let's break down what I don't actually use. Cinema lenses, absolutely not. If you think that you're going to blow up on YouTube and suddenly need cinema lenses, you're not. Unless you have a full production team that films and edits your videos, never ever buy cinema lenses to create YouTube content. I'm someone who uses Blackmagic cinema cameras to do most of my kind of client paid work. Don't really use them to film YouTube content unless I need a second angle. Right now I'm filming on the full frame 6K Blackmagic camera, and up here is the Panasonic S5 II. This has a 16 to 35mm on it, nice and wide, and this one here has a 24 to 70. I would say I use 3 lenses to create my entire YouTube content. I use an ultra wide lens for that kind of talking head, intimate feeling. This would normally be my 16 to 35mm that's up here. I have a 24 to 70 what gets the majority of my kind of B-roll, or just is my kind of do-it-all lens, but I would say I use that the least. And then I have this 50mm f1.4 that I use to capture B-roll mainly. To simplify it down, I would say that you need 2 lenses. One for talking head stuff, what is a wide, kind of ultra wide, so you can get nice and close to that camera. And secondly, a B-roll lens that can be some sort of 50, 35, 85, whatever you think maybe fits what the kind of content you will be filming. Between those 2 lenses, you can probably make super amazing content. This is my old Blackmagic Pocket. I never ever use that for YouTube anymore. This is my Ursa Mini G2. I've had this maybe 2 to 3 years now. So was purchased way before I started doing YouTube. Initially, when I first started, I thought, oh, this is going to be my A cam that I have set up here in my office and I'm going to do all my talking heads on it, and suddenly realised that filming YouTube content without autofocus is not ideal. I would not recommend any of the Blackmagic cameras if you are going to create YouTube content. The camera I would definitely recommend is this one up here that I did my intro on earlier. That is a Lumix S5 Mark II. There are some amazing deals on that. I'm going to link those in the description below. It's such a well-valued, well-priced camera. It really does it all. So I'm going to say you definitely shouldn't buy a cinema camera, even if that is a Blackmagic Pocket. But you definitely should buy a mirrorless camera with autofocus, and the one I recommend is the Panasonic Lumix S5 II. So what equipment am I looking to add in 2024? Well, to be honest, not a lot really. I'm going to spend all my time working on myself and how I deliver on my confidence on camera, and also how I write and my storytelling ability. I, just like many other YouTubers who are just starting out, have so many more mistakes to make and especially learn from. The only place that I'll be investing in is my own ideas and how I can make it easier to create more videos. All you need in 2024 to create amazing video is a camera and a lens. But I see so many people choosing the wrong ones, so watch this video right here to make sure you do not make that mistake.